folks. This is Kristen Eckler reporting live from the White House. Today we will be speaking with President Harry Truman about the dropping of the atomic bomb on Hiroshima.
Thank you for having me.
As the viewers at home know, the atomic bomb was dropped 10 years ago today, August 9th, 1945. When was the idea of the bomb first proposed to you, and how did you feel towards it?
Well, Albert Einstein wrote me a letter in early August of 1939 explaining to me all about the idea of the bomb and how it could be possible to create it with the new findings that were discovered. Although he did warn me, stating just how powerful a weapon could be, we also knew it would be very effective and would have a big impact on the war and even the world.
So you believe it was justified to drop the bomb?
Yes, in my opinion, it was right to drop the atomic bomb in Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Some may argue that it was awful to kill all those civilians, but you clearly believe it was the right thing to do. Could you elaborate more on your feelings toward that?
Many Japanese civilians did die during the bomb dropping, but like I talked about in my speech on August 9th, 1945, after the second bomb in Nagasaki was dropped, the world will note that the first atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima, a military base. That was because we wished in this first attack to avoid, in so far as possible, the killing of civilians. But that attack is only a warning of things to come. If Japan does not surrender, bombs will have to be dropped on her war industries, and unfortunately, thousands of civilians' lives will be lost. I urge the Japanese civilians to leave industrial cities immediately and save themselves from destruction. Hiroshima was a military base. We decided to start there, and if there was no word on surrender, move to the cities. The first bomb was used as a warning. We didn't want to make all those people suffer, but we needed to show that we had the bombs and would be using them if they did not surrender. We also wanted them to know that our revenge for what they did to us on December 7th, 1941, otherwise known as Pearl Harbor, would not be forgotten. We never received a warning, and many of our soldiers were killed on American soil, letting Japan know we were not going to give up. This is Pearl Harbor after the attacks.
Yes, that is true. But speaking on behalf of most of America, we just wish more Japanese civilians listened to the warnings. Many lives would have been saved.
I see where you were coming from, but dropping that bomb actually saved a ton of American lives. If the war was to keep going on, so many of our soldiers and our citizens could have been injured and killed in combat or other military tactics created by Japan. It was predicted that by dropping the bomb and having them surrender, 1 million American lives were saved from casualties or death. I sent a letter to Richard Russell telling him my object is to save as many American lives as possible, but I also have a humane feeling for the women and children in Japan. Here is the letter.
1 million lives is a very high number.
Yes, I know, very high. This picture of a soldier coming home to his wife after VJ Day just shows how happy they were to finally be home after a couple of hard-fought battles. Without the bomb, the war could have gone on for many years later.
Viewers at home, this is the picture that he was just talking about. Good one. So going along the lines of war, you think it was an effective military tactic?
Yes, exactly. I specifically used the bomb to lead our country to success and bring the war to an end. It was a weapon placed on the country just like a gun would be used in combat. Our tired soldiers were able to return home and be with their families. I know it's a shame that people had to suffer, but in this case, using the bomb was the best military weapon we had to end the war and was the best thing to do for our country. It's still very shocking we had something so powerful in our hands.
Those are some valid points, Mr. President. Thank you for your time, and we hope the viewers at home could really understand the points you made.
Me too, Kristen. I want not only my fellow people, but everyone around the world to know that I think it is horrible so many had to die due to this bomb, but it really was necessary for our country to stop the war from going on any longer. The warnings were given to help try and stop so many deaths in the cities, but we did not want to lose any more of our families' lives and wanted to save as many Americans as we could. It was a strategic weapon used that we knew would be the only way to stop Japan from advancing.
Thank you. Viewers at home, stick around for a follow-up interview with the Hiroshima bomb survivor right after a quick commercial break. I'm Kristen Neckler, and you're watching ABC.
Hi, and we're back. We just spoke with President Truman, and now we have Sumi Huang here with us today. Thank you for coming, Sumi.
No problem.
I know that what you went through 10 years ago today was very hard. Do you ever look back and wish there was more you could do to prevent this bomb?
Yes, every day I am reminded of how my entire life was affected by this bomb. Every time I look down at my prosthetic leg, I wish I could have done more to prevent it because I would do anything to take back what America did to us.
So, is it fair to say you do not believe it was justified for America to drop the bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki?
Yes, to me it was not right to drop the bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
As a survivor of the horrors, what upsets you the most about the dropping of the bomb?
The most upsetting part is the thousands of people, including myself, were completely innocent, yet we are the ones who suffered. I was just going on with my daily work routine, and within seconds my life changed forever. I had never taken part in the war, and to this day it feels like I didn't deserve to go through that horrible, horrible experience. The innocent people that wanted no harm and didn't do anything are not the ones that should have been killed in Japan.
I can only imagine the horror you went through. Do you have any pictures of this experience?
Yes, these photos show only a few of the many people that suffered due to the bombings. Did you know that there were only 283,508 survivors altogether? So much suffering, so much pain. It is so hard to look back at these pictures and relive that horrible day.
Those are really tough photos. Seeing this as a photo is horrible, so the fact that you witnessed it in person is crazy and must be very, very hard to revisit.
Very hard, but I want to share my story.
You are very brave. But to continue, what are your thoughts on the bomb being dropped on a military that was already basically destroyed?
It's a thought that I can't seem to understand. It's frustrating knowing that the Japanese army was already weak, especially up against the American army, but the U.S. felt the need to completely destroy us. Even Henry Louis Stimson, Secretary of the War, in his letter to President Truman before the bomb was dropping on July 2nd, 1945, he talked about how, quote unquote, Japan has no allies. Her navy is nearly destroyed and she is vulnerable to a surface and underwater blockade which can deprive her of sufficient food and supplies for her population. She is terribly vulnerable to our concentrated air attack upon her crowded cities, industrial and food resources. It was a pretty popular vote that America could win against us without the bomb. Their odds were much higher than ours. Why did they have to drop a weapon on us that caused so much suffering? They were bigger and stronger than us, and they knew it, but still decided to drop the bomb so they didn't have to go through any more suffering.
So you think America was using too much of its power when dropping the bomb?
Yes, kind of. Not only did they know that our army was weaker, but just straight that our people were weaker. They had cartoons and stereotypes towards us that put us down and made us out to be bad because we were different, comparing us to bugs.
Are you saying it was some type of racism attack?
It very much could have been. Posters like this were created by America because they didn't like us and obviously thought we weren't strong enough to defend ourselves against it. It was also discovered that when Truman wrote in his diary about the decision on dropping the bomb, he would call us Japanese savages and ruthless, even merciless. Truman could have made the decision based on his hatred for us, with racism instead of what the war was really about.
Any final thoughts?
Yes, I would just like to say that I don't believe America was justified in dropping the bomb because they killed so many innocent people that did nothing to them to deserve that. So many families, homes, lives, all destroyed because of nothing they did. The U.S. Army knew that the Japanese army was already weak. The bomb was not the only option they had to help end the war faster. And the last thing is that I know Japan and the United States had some differences, but racism was and still is a problem. And who knows, maybe the bombing was really a racist attack on the people they call cockroaches and snakes.
I know today is a hard day for you, but I'm very glad you were able to speak with us today and tell us about how you were feeling for the bombings.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm very lucky to just be here today alive.